I found myself hesitating to kiss someone, like someone that I really wanted to kiss. You're scared because making that first move is setting yourself down a long path of potential insecurity, of vulnerability and whatnot. So you're thinking that maybe if you're avoidant, as soon as someone acts cold towards you, you know that your avoidant instinct is going to make you run and you're going to self-sabotage. I'm like, just to let you know, like, I'm really attracted to you. Like, I'm high as fuck right now. I've been thinking about how to make a move on you for the last hour and a half. Just letting you know. And then he was just like, oh, like I could tell. And then I just relaxed, and then he kissed me and it was fine.
You are locked into another episode of Meg Talks, the people's platform home to queer POC millennial conversation. Big up yourself if you're locked in for the first time. We're your people, your team, your community, and manners and respect if you're locked in for another episode. Like, for real, I appreciate the love and support. And also, thank you for all of the birthday wishes. Like, you actually showed up and showed out.
When was your birthday?
7th of December, a couple of days ago.
Oh shit, happy birthday.
Thanks. Extra love. Nah, I'm telling you, like, especially the Instagram community, you showed up and out for real. Like, it was, appreciate you. But you can tune into every single episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Like, we're in quite a few different spaces. But the best thing is head over to Meg Talks Online on Instagram. And then click on the link tree in my bio, and then you can tune in via whatever platform you would like. And just to let you know as well, I'm going to be on YouTube soon, you know.
Period.
Periana. Yeah, I'm gonna.
I want to see it.
Yes, we're gonna be like we had clips. We started off with clips, and now we've got 60-minute to 90-minute visuals and stuff. So yeah, we've upgraded, you know, Pete. But anyway, I am here with the community's babe, public figure, Glow.
Hey guys, my name is Glow. If you don't know, then get to know.
Get to know.
Period.
So, just first and foremost, man, how's your week been? What's been going on?
Oh, I've had a shit week.
I want to hear all about it.
This has been a week from... What has even happened this week? Give me a sec. I feel like last weekend, I had a very, very long weekend. Like, I was out. And so, you know when you have like a long, like, binge drinking night, it just throws off your whole week. Yeah. Because like your timing's bad. Like, you don't do a lot of the things you need to do. And then I realized it was my good friend's birthday on Wednesday. We haven't been friends for that long, so we haven't had a birthday yet. Okay. So when I realized it was their birthday, I was like, okay, well, I have to pull out all the stops now. Like, so it was like 24 hours, like frantic, panicking, like trying to pull together a little surprise party for them. Oh, that's cute. We managed to do it, but that really threw off my week. I can't lie. Like, and then yeah, honestly, I've just been really excited for today, the weekend. I was just like, I haven't podcasted in so long. Happy to be here. I have a date later.
We're gonna get into the whole topic of dating.
Yeah, and then it's my friend's Christmas party later.
Do you know what? You are a socialite, you know? Like, do you know what? You see, if I go out more than once on the weekend, everything from Monday to Thursday is now fried to a fricassee. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
like
that was me.
It like, what's the word? Dysregulates me.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't drink. But you see, when I did drink, and you see when there were party sweets involved as well. Listen, it was like, I start to pick up my vibration about 2:30 on a Thursday. Yeah. Ready for Friday. Mash up myself again. And then Monday is hell. So like,
that's where I'm at.
We got the good side of you then. But that was actually, I just wanted to pick up on what you were saying about your new friend. And like, I think that's really special, because I think sometimes, like, the first year of a friendship, there isn't really much pressure or expectation to celebrate anything annually or have those moments, because you're still kind of figuring it out. So like, the fact that you actually took it upon yourself to be like, oh, let's actually do something and have it as a surprise. Like, why did you do that? Or what was the energy behind that?
Do you know what is it? I feel like this year, I mean, last year was the year that I said, okay, everything I do now is going to be really intentional. I started with dating and inner child work and whatnot. And obviously I have a lot of friends. I'm very social. So this year I've kind of been trying to be a lot more intentional with my friendships. It's like, yes, a lot of people would call me their friend, but the people that I name as my friends are people that, like, I upkeep conversations with. Like, I make sure I check on their well-being. Like, I try and schedule quality time with them, even though I don't have much. So this friend is someone where it's like, they came into my life just when I was like, okay, anybody that I choose from now your family. So it's like, if your family, like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to go hard for you, especially this person, for context. They are not from London. They don't have many friends here. They've been such a good and welcoming friend to me, like, the last few months, like, letting me in their space, like, just letting me be comfortable around them. And I feel like we've grown very close very quickly. So I was like, I need you to feel that, because your birthday's in December. So if I don't do it this year, you're going to have to wait a whole another 12 months to feel that love. And you might not have that long, because I can't lie, life is hard. Like, life is hard. So I was just like, yeah, with the little money and little time I have, let's be doing something big.
That's beautiful, man, for real. And there was something that I actually want to kind of lean into before we even get into like your backstory and all the good stuff, just around friendships, because I think I was talking about this with Roxanne last week, that friendships in London, I think it's a different beast to the most parts of the world, and I think it kind of speaks to also large cities as well. But it's like, what does friendship actually mean to you?
Okay, so I actually have a hierarchy of friendships, right? Everybody who fits on this hierarchy can be called the word friend, right? They do not hold the same value, right? So at the top is close friends, right? That's like your best friends. Those are people you speak to regularly, people you make effort with regularly. If you can't physically see them a lot, you might FaceTime them, you might call them, whatnot. Those are people whose lives you're pretty much up to date with. Like, you're comfortable telling them your secrets, your traumas, whatnot. You trust them, right? Then you have, underneath close friends, you have good friends. Those are people who may or may not have been close friends at some point, but it's not consistent enough for you to call them a close friend. There's not as much proximity there. Just like the people that you see like a couple times a year, but when you see each other, the love is still there, and you trust them, but there's not enough consistency and there's not enough pressure, because I feel like close friendship has pressure. There's expectations there. Good friends, it's like, oh, this is my good friend. I trust her, but like, I'm not gonna see her for the next few months.
Yeah.
And then underneath that is friend. And friend usually has a word that comes in front of it. It might be work friend. It might be outside friend. It might be influencer friend. It might be PR friend. It might be this friend. And this is where roles come in. So I feel like close friends and good friends, they tend to like embody a lot of different roles. But just normal friends, it might be like, oh, this is my friend from work. Oh, this is my friend who like we see each other at parties, and like, we cool. We might reply to each other's stories. Like, we might invite each other out. Like, if a crisis really happened, like, I'm here if you need to talk to me. But like, we don't have that expectation of each other.
Yeah.
Underneath that is acquaintance. These are the people who I just see outside or I just see online. There's love there. Don't know them well enough. Don't necessarily trust them, but I don't need to trust them to have a good relationship with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
this
me.
is well fucking thought out. I know that there's a bag of people out here with their fucking notes, because it's something. Since I hit maybe like my mid to late 20s, I found it difficult, because I always had friends growing up, especially like in primary school, high school, college. Like, I had a lot of friends, and I had my close knit friends as well, which kind of helped me to feel quite secure in many ways. Like, I think there's a lack of security in teenage dynamics anyway, because you're just not serious and you don't know how to hold space for each other, kind of thing. But I did have consistent, really close ties and so on. But when it kind of got to a point where, and like, you guys can listen back to the episode I just did with Icicle, where I was saying that I put myself in kind of like solitude, and I was like, fuck gal, because I'm chasing down gal too much. I'd had so many friendship heartbreaks. I was like, no, I need to just, I've got my career, it's going well, but what would happen if I just cut all of this shit off and focused for like the next 5 years? What will happen? And I did that. But then coming back out of that now, I'm coming back into, say, consciousness and friendships probably like 28, 29. And that's not to say like I went partying and doing some things like that, but my intentions for connection wasn't there. Yeah. I just wanted to let off some steam whilst I'm focusing. So I'm working 2 jobs, and I'm doing my second degree, but I'm out raving. I'm just
Did I not get lonely though?
Do you know what? Maybe near at the end, where I kind of felt the need to come out of that. But actually, it was very empowering, because at that point I was learning about boundaries, that I do have the ability to influence and have a say in what happens around me in the relationships that I'm having. I got to learn my own core values, my own core values, and my own social systems.
Yeah.
Right? Because I didn't really have very much of a strong personality. I've always been very laid back. So you kind of go with the ocean, and I was finding myself uncomfortable in a lot of spaces because I'm not actually influencing or dictating what I want or putting my needs forward. So actually being alone allowed me to be empowered because I'm doing everything that I want when I want. I haven't got to think about anyone.
Yeah.
So it was like a real revelation. But then, as you said, I kind of thought, do you know what? I feel like I'm missing out on those bonds.
Yeah.
But then when you're like late 20s, 30s, life has changed again. You've got people in serious relationships and people's availability is very different to when you're like in your early 20s and so on. So I say all of that to say like it's been a real journey. And like even I'm trying to work out what does a close friendship look like in this phase of my life versus when I was like 21, 22.
Yeah.
That looks very different because you've got all this time you're in college. You know, like when you're in college and stuff and you've got...
It's so whatless,
you've got like... You might not even go to college on Tuesday and then you've got like a 3-hour break and it just looks very, very different.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got a relationship, if you've got children, if you've got a career and a job and all of these other responsibilities. So I'm still very much trying to decipher what... You see those different tiers? What they look like. And actually, I think some of those tiers might have even have dropped out.
Yeah.
So you've got like close friends, you've got good friends, and then there's almost like acquaintances.
Yeah.
So like, I was just like thinking out loud. But I wanted to ask you, like, how do you identify the ops? Because you're a very visible person.
Yeah.
Right? And I think there's a preconception that can come with people. It's like, oh, there are benefits to being your friend or to be seen with you or affiliated with you and so on.
I'm glad you said it.
And do you know what? Look, I humbly say this, I've got my little podcast, my little corner of the world, and I started to clock that. Like, it's not this, I've only been podcasting a couple of years, so, and I've always been very humble, a very open person. I'll embrace you. I give trust until you break it. And when it's gone, like, it's a wrap. Like, I don't want to fuck with you no more. But I'm having to really learn as part of my healing journey about reading people's intentions and being able to spot them. And I'm still not perfect at it. So I just wanted to kind of like talk about that. Like, so how do you spot people's intentions? How are you weeding out, the little snakes in the grass and stuff?
I don't necessarily have ops as in people have bad intentions with me. But there's obviously a lot of people, because you don't have to be anybody for somebody to want proximity to you for their own gain, right?
Very good point.
You could I don't know, like work at Tesco, go out like once a year, and someone will want proximity to you because they see you as useful. So a lot of the time I do get that energy from certain people. I'm just like, oh, like I can tell that you want something that I have. Like, you want to be my friend because you see me going to certain spaces, or you see me around certain people, or you see me doing certain jobs or whatnot. I'm like, that's fine with me, honestly, because my thing is like, I am so cool with people like that if they make their intentions clear. Because I'll meet someone and I'll tell them like, oh, like, I think this is really cool, like what you're doing. Like, I would love to like hang out and like talk about this more. We're like, I'm not gonna pretend that I want to be your best friend or that I want to date you, but like, I just say that like, for me it's less about like weeding certain people out or like not giving them access to me. It's more so like changing my expectations based on the context. It's like, if I can tell that someone only wants to be my friend because like they think I'm quote unquote cool, then I'm like, okay, well, I know not to trust you with like, I don't know, like my financial situation or like my family traumas or whatnot. I'm like, I know that this is a person that, oh, if I need to go to like an influencer event, this is someone that I can rely on because they will be enthusiastic to show up and conduct themselves in a way that they deem as cool. I'm like, yeah, you can hang out with me. That's cool. And I think people tend to have a very good understanding of like my social like kind of like boundaries, because it's like, yes, I'm friendly with everybody, but the people that you see me interact with on the timeline, for example, is the same sorts of people. The people that you see me post on my stories, usually the same people. Like, I might have conversations with like, I don't know, 12 people a day, but out of that 12, the 12 people who are talking to me know that they're not my best friends. Like, that's fine.
Do you know what? I feel like that there's two things. Well, three things. One, transparency.
Yeah.
Being really transparent, because that's something that really makes me feel uncomfortable, and it's probably just thinking about it, a trigger point. You see, when people aren't being transparent, and then there's that moment where I'm like, hold on a minute, this isn't what it seems. Or maybe there's an ulterior motive here that I'm not feeling too comfortable with. And sometimes it could be tied to just how motivated I am, because I will, you see, if you've got an idea, I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. And then we start chopping it up, and I'm like, okay, and you know what, some people really like having that energy, so it could be for all kind of things. But again, transparency, then you're coming from an abundant space rather than a fear space, a fear response. Because I think for me, and I know there are other people that can relate, where it's like things are happening, you're like, okay, I want to keep people at arm's length, because access or proximity equates to risk or potential of things happening. But actually, if you can interpret that as to, no, I can just manage that, and I can take my time to read the person and see where they could fit in my life and hold that space there, that's okay. So I think there was that. And then what was the third one now? Like, you know yourself. You know, you've identified a very clear structure of how you choose to interact with people. And it doesn't feel like you're at the beck and call of how people want to interact with you. You very much kind of own that. Like,
I think I still struggle with that a bit though. I think, you know, obviously, like when you've been friends with people for like a longer amounts of time, sometimes they still hold you to certain standards that you had set before. For example, it's like now I know that I'm not necessarily the best friend right now to like be committal to plans. Most of the time I see my friends, it's at events because it's low cost, it's convenient, and I can decide last minute. If someone was just like, oh, do you want to go for dinner like in 3 weeks time on this random Thursday, I don't know if I can yet. And honestly, I don't know if I want to. So I think a lot of the times, I think this is more of a thing of like closer friendships or friendships where I've been friends with people for a while. I find it really hard to be like, oh no, I don't want to. That's the one phrase that I really struggle with. If I can say it to my best friends, I'm like, no, I don't want to. They won't ask me for an explanation. But I feel like certain people have like, this isn't shade by the way, but if you take, I don't care. It's like, I think people tend to have an entitlement to me. It's like people expect me to be down for anything. People expect me to be free, to want to drink, to be excited by things. I'm like, oh, I actually don't really care about partying that much. Like, I party a lot because I like seeing people. Like,
right.
Like, you could invite me to the most lit motive tomorrow, and if nobody that I care about is going to be there, I probably won't go. Like,
it's less about the motive and more about that interaction, that space, that. Yeah.
Same way, like when, God willing, when I get like my next good job, I'm like, you won't see me at parties because I'll be going for dinners with my friends one-on-one, or I'll be making time for people because I can afford to. So yeah, don't worry, in 2024 we're not doing any more pushover shit.
No, but I feel like there's a whole section that we haven't even got into. I could jump straight into the topic, but I thought, we're here.
Yeah,
let's take the moment.
We're here, we're queer.
Yeah, so like, I think a lot of people will recognise your face.
I mean, it's a good face.
Very pretty.
Thanks.
Very pretty. But it's like, what is it how would you describe what it is that you do from a occupation perspective?
Okay. See, this has recently changed. How I would identify as like a creative, but I would say presenter / host. Yeah. The things I actually do, podcasting, although my podcast hasn't come out in like months, but we're working on it. Podcasting, content creation, modeling, casting, assisting, and just like, performance poetry as well. So like just literally just curating and producing. But right now, I mean, the main reason I started getting into content creation is because I want to host more shows, be on more shows, interview cool people, and eventually be Oprah. But better because,
I can be your girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can be your girl. No, I feel there's a lot of things actually that you said that I definitely want to head down that road. Because podcasting just came about. It was just, there's a whole backstory, but it was never something I considered.
Yeah.
I'm a HR person.
Yeah.
I'm a HR person and I love doing it. I love corporate. But it was just something that cropped up. And through this, I've started to see like, okay, there are so many different ways in which you can show up in spaces, how you can communicate. So I like to talk.
Yeah.
I love to
Can I ask?
talk.
So obviously you host your podcast. Do you produce it and edit it as well?
No.
I'm so glad you said that.
Absolutely.
That's why my podcast hasn't come out in months. I'm learning to delegate right now.
Do you know what? I would say this. I loved the idea of being able to do all things and be all things for the podcast. But kind of going back to what I was saying, I like to talk. I don't like to sit at a computer and do all of this. Not like that. I tried it and I said, no, this is driving me crazy. It's sucking the actual fun out of it. And I'm not, with my whole ADHD brain.
Same.
Like, bruh, when I'm looking at, it's like I'm looking at fucking hieroglyphics. I'm like, no.
And there's nothing worse than having to listen back to a session where I'm like, yeah, I know what I said because I was there. Like, you don't need, I don't need to hear this again. Like, I was there.
Exactly that. So I have like an audio editor, a visual editor, and then I just do the social media thing. But even I'm trying to delegate that.
I was going to say, find an intern, child.
Yeah, like, we have to talk. You have to show me how to do that because like it's a lot of work.
We'll have a proper discussion because like, the thing is, I feel like I've gotten to the point where it's like, I know how I want my pod to be moving forward. I'm just giving myself a break. But yeah, I think delegating is a big thing because it's like, I actually enjoy editing.
Okay.
I enjoy doing the social media. I enjoy all of it, but I don't want to just be a podcaster. So because I'm also a content creator, because I'm also a model, because I also want to do other things and blah, it's like, if I wanted to have my fingers in like every single part of like what I do, I won't have any time. It's like, I might enjoy it, but if like, again, I'm not a full-time podcaster, so like, if it's not my job, like, so it just doesn't make sense for me to do everything myself.
It's like focusing on the best bits of what it is that you do in terms of like all the different hats that you wear, and then doing those things really well and where you can delegate. Because I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm not much of a doer, you know. Even at like with my work, the work that I do, I like to work through people. So it's like, okay, I've got a vision, I've got an idea. I don't mind. I quite enjoy getting things off the ground. You see, kind of like getting it to pilot stage, and then once it goes up, once we've had a successful pilot and we're about to commit to it, then thinking about how can I bring the right people in.
Yeah, how to like make it autonomous.
Yeah, because like the thing is, I recognise they're gonna do it better than me anyway. Like, I will do it well because of motivation. But the thing is, I'm not a specialist in all those things. So it's like, how do I bring those specialists in, and then we can work in a team, a very much a collaborative way. I love that, and then I bounce off of your ideas, and then you might say, Meg, have you thought about that? I'm like, no. I'm like, why are we not doing this? So that's like where I thrive, and I think you're right, because it does afford you more time. Yeah. Do you know where I'm coming? And you're not running yourself ragged trying to be everything to everyone and all things, because you're genuinely gifted. Yeah. That is a fact. You're genuinely gifted. So it's like, how do you hone in on that?
Yeah. And I'm glad you even said gift, because I was saying to myself recently, okay, yes, sure, you can produce. Sure, you can be good at social media. I'm sure you can even sharpen those skills as you go along. I'm like, that's not why you started the podcast. You started the podcast because your gift is articulating yourself and inspiring people. And the role that comes under is hosting, presenting. So whilst you might be amazing at social media, whilst you can produce a podcast, you can mix and master the sound and whatnot, that's not your gift. Like, that's not why you started it. So I'm like, okay, let's just like strip everything back. How can you host and do nothing else? You delegate. So now it's finding people to trust, which is the hard thing.
Oh Lord!
I don't know about you, but I'm an avoidant attachment person. So it's so strange, because it's like, I always tell people I'm avoidant attachment. It's like, people who meet me now, they're just like, you don't seem it, because it's like you go out of your way to be social and whatnot. I'm like, yeah, because I'm trying to do better. But when it comes to trusting people, especially when it comes to work,
because do you know what? Sometimes this is a complete contradiction what I was saying, but I understand, because it's easier to do it yourself. Yeah. Rather than have to work with people, through people, because you've got to then develop them, and then if something goes wrong, you still end up doing the work or whatever it is.
Yeah, and you have to like build a language with each other as well.
Yeah, that rapport. Yeah. Do you know? I feel this gonna be a controversial one, but hey, we're here. Like, I think like, and in terms of like the Black queer community, I think we're evolving. I don't want to seem like I'm not acknowledging that, because I think we are. But sometimes having those partnerships can be difficult.
Or in like a workspace.
Like in a professional or a creative way, right? And the reason why I say that is because let me draw it back to this. Let me put a pin in this and use an analogy. Like at church, yeah, they say like whether you're doing the meet and greet, whether you're putting the Bibles out, whether you're setting up chairs, whether you're the youth pastor, whether you're the pastor, whatever it is, like all of those different the way that you're serving forms as part of the body of the church. So there's the elbow, there's the toenail, there's the finger, there's the eye. But what I find a lot in our culture is everybody wants to be the face.
I was literally just thinking.
So what it means is that there isn't enough support to allow the people that are the faces, quote unquote, to grow. So then this is where the team issue becomes, because there's a lot of competition, right? And I'm like, I would love for us to get to a space whereby actually it doesn't need to be a competing thing, and that not everybody can play a different role and a different function, which allows us all to move forward. Because when I look at where the States is in terms of black queer culture, admittedly, yes, they've got numbers on their side in terms of population, but we don't get behind things and people enough to the fullest capacity that we could. And I think that hurts me. And then the other thing I'll add is there are so many partnerships that end dramatically. Now, that is across the board, all cultures, all races. But the thing is, we're a very small community. So when that happens, that can become quite problematic.
Yeah,
and then
it sends ripples.
And it hinders us from progressing as a community collectively. You know, so I was just throwing it out there that I was talking to my friend about this in the car today. And I think, I don't know what the solution is, but it's something I've definitely kind of observed. And I think, it's a challenge for us. But we're here. And like I said, I want to learn about the intern thing. You're like, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
But it's like, is that an ego? Like, what? Not in that scenario, but you see like the opposite. Is that ego? I don't know what it is. But anyway, I wanted to ask you a bit about your background. So like, where are your people from? Like, where did you grow up? What was all of that like?
Born and raised in South London. My mum's Ugandan. My dad's Nigerian and Cameroonian. So East and West, weird mix. But born and raised. I grew up like single child to my mum. Yeah, I ask you another question, because I'm you know when someone asks you an open-ended question.
No, but I think that you've answered it in a nutshell. So like, you're an only child. Yeah. Me too.
Yeah, so I have siblings, but I grew up an only child.
Okay, so like, how do you think that's kind of influenced the way that you navigate the world?
Well, obviously I'm autistic, and I think that growing up, I think it meant that I was kind of a bit more intentional about finding my people. People have siblings, it's like, you know that whatever happens, you can have no friends at school. You come home and you have like a friend, even if you don't get along. Like that's your friend because that's your sibling, right? But I think it meant that like when I was at school, I was like actively seeking connections. I was like, who's weird? Who seems fun? Who can I be myself around? Obviously, I didn't know that I was being that intentional at that young age, but because I recently reconnected with my actual best friend from like when I was like 6 years old, like as in like some of my earliest like formative memories are just like being in her presence, like not even doing anything like spectacular, just being around her. And obviously we didn't know at the time, but we're both autistic, we both have ADHD, and I'm pretty sure we both have bipolar disorder. So just kin already, like this is a white girl. We don't relate in like terms of like creed or race, but like and then maybe like a year ago, I think, because we lost contact as you do when you're kids. Maybe like a year ago, she hit me up on Instagram. She was like, apologies if like this is the wrong person, but like, did you used to go by like this name and like you went to this school in these years? And I was like, you don't know how long I've been searching for you. It was such I literally cried. I was like, you don't know how long I have been trying to find you online. And then obviously through talking and whatnot, we came to realize that we did share the fact that we're both autistic. We both have ADHD and whatnot. And I'm like, even just like the instinctive like magnetism to one another without actually knowing why we were drawn to each other is crazy. And I think that kids are really good at that. Adults aren't as good at that. Adults are so bad at choosing their people. Well, like we are so we don't know shit. Like,
Why? What do you think that is? What do you think changes between when you're younger as a child and then when you get into that adult stage? Like, what's different, and why do you think that happens?
I think one, capitalism. So I think a lot of teenage and adult friendships are like built around this utilitarian idea of like people need to be useful. You might not even realize you're doing it, but it's like you don't want to be friends with the popular person because you think that they're interesting or because you're so attracted to them. I mean, you might be, but it's like you want to be friends with them because you think that it will elevate your social status. You think it will give you a freedom. You think it will give you protection. You think it will make you feel better about yourself. Like, and that brings me on to the next part, which is ego. Children don't have as big ego. I mean, children's egos aren't as bad as adult ones. Because again, they have like a different sense of like consequence. They don't have real world problems. So yeah, I think when children tend to make friendships, it tends to be more pure. Like the base desire of like, this person seems interesting or likable, I'm gonna go there. Or like, they seem fun, or I can be silly around them, let me go there. And I think obviously as I've been more intentional with my friendships, that's what my friendships are starting to look like. Being completely candid, when I was a teenager, I always knew I want to be popular, I want to be cool. Like the person I am now was very much like 12-year-old me couldn't even imagine, but like this was the vision. Like this was not an accident. But I think where I failed in some of my friendships as a teenager is like, yes, I was a very good friend to a lot of my friends, but I just think sometimes I blurred the lines between social climbing and genuine intentional friendship. And I don't think I was necessarily, I mean, I was undiagnosed bipolar. I didn't know what I was doing half the time. But I think also the lack of like self-awareness and the lack of intention meant that I didn't know how to differentiate the two.
Yeah.
And I wasn't being honest with myself about why I wanted to be friends with certain people, or I wasn't necessarily being myself. I was masking a lot with autism. I was like kind of like pretending to be who I thought people needed me to be for me to still be accepted. It meant being a pushover. It meant sometimes being overly sarcastic and bitchy, gossiping. It meant, yeah, just not being someone that I would want to be friends with today. Honestly, some of the people that I see trying to gain proximity to me now remind me of when I was 16. I'm like, ew, like grow the fuck up, like. But yeah, I can't remember what the point of that tangent was. But I think, intentionality with choosing friends. I think obviously coming into adulthood and learning that I'm autistic, and accepting that and sort of doing the work to like mask less has given me so much more freedom, because now I'm 24. I'm like, I go to like an influencer party and it's not the person with the biggest followers that I want to be friends with. It's the person who's actually making conversation and being silly and like isn't afraid to look stupid dancing like whilst everyone's standing like in the corner being stush. Like, yeah.
Do you know, there was something that you were saying about kind of bringing it back to children. Like children can kind of see people for who they are, and in a really unjaded way, and then make a conscientious decision about, does that work for me or does it not? And that whole idea of social capital as you get older, and that intentionality, like, are we being honest and intentional with how we show up in spaces and the relationships that we're forming? And that can even go down to like romantic dating, because I know when I was younger, I just wanted to be, the thing is that I was a dweeb. Now I was just like low key in my heart, I was a fucking dweeb. And the thing is, I loved the dweebs. That the dweebs are the ones that they've got like the lamest jokes, but it's funny, or like we know word for word like a whole episode of a show. Yeah, do you know where I'm coming from? Or we all love the same musical and we know all of the songs and the dances. I loved that, and the cool kids didn't necessarily afford me that opportunity. Or if I'm doing too much and wanting to be flamboyant, now it's like, you know. But at that same token, I recognised the social equity being attached to them. And that was always a bit of a conflict in me, that around, whether it's the skaters, whether it was like my little quiet brethrens, my little dorky brethrens, my performing arts brethren, I was really much myself. And then when I just sitting here in contrast to like the quote unquote popular kids, it was like a version of myself that I thought that they would accept.
Same. And
I wish, and you know, there's a part of me that was like, I wish I could have just been my little dweeby self over there and see how that, just giving myself the chance. But I also recognise it just didn't feel like a safe space for me to be able to open up in that way. And as an adult, vulnerability with strangers, that can feel very, very scary. That can feel very, very scary. And I think I just need to be more intentional about giving people, the right people, the time. Because I'm always busy. I'm always fucking busy. But that's because I've got a busy brain. I'll just busy myself doing all kinds. You know what I'm saying? I always just find something to do. But it's like, okay, what does intentional diary management look like in terms of managing relationships? The same way I'm at work. I'm better at work because I know what's expected of me. I know how to do that. But socially, it's not the same. It doesn't translate.
Yeah.
Do you know where I'm coming from? And even with everyone trying to be cool, that throws me because they're masking. So then being ADHD, I can't even read your social cues more. And I'm like, nah, this is fucking me up. Like, do these people even fuck with me at this point? I'm like, well, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then I can feel like there's an incongruence in the environment because it's like, what? There's something going on here that I can't pick up on, but it doesn't feel comfortable for me.
Yeah.
So I'm having to learn, like, what does peace look like? But what does peace look like in uncomfortable environments? Because before I'd be like, I'm not putting myself in that situation to be here feeling uncomfortable. But actually, you have to network. You do have to branch out. There was something that you said actually.
You know,
exposure therapy.
People always say that phrase to me. There was something that you said, because I just be talking. But people are just like, yeah, you said something really insightful. I'm like, I don't know what I was saying.
Yeah, it was exposure therapy.
Yes.
That was the word that you used earlier on. And it is kind of this balance between not wanting to put yourself in circumstances that are not for you, but also that balance of exposure therapy, because you do need to put yourself in uncomfortable scenarios to grow. And I think that's how you begin to, like, again, make connections with different people. So it's like, I met you at Swipe Your Sign. Yeah. And I think we started talking because of that. I think it was a jacket that you were wearing. And I was like, no, that jacket was... Yeah. There was like something that you was wearing, like a jumper. So I was like, no, this is cold. Like, this is sick. And then within the first few moments, we both had ADHD. And I was like, oh, okay.
It was such a relief. I can't lie, because I was so like... there was just a lot going on at that event. Obviously, I was on a date. Like... There was so many people there. Like, it was a new environment. Like, it was just a lot. But like, that really like brought me out of the haze.
Like, at that moment, I was like, oh, okay. Like, the little 7-year-old me, oh, like, okay, found a little friend here. Yeah. Like, in the worst case to worst, we're gonna sit down and talk. Yeah. Do you know where I'm coming from? Because I know I can be my dweeby little self in here, and again, I understand people. It's a professional environment in many respects and stuff, but. I can't not just be me. Like, this is me everywhere. Go and find me in a boardroom. Go and find me at home with my parents. Go and find me with my partner. I'm all very much one of the same person.
I was actually going to say, I don't believe in professionalism when it comes to self. I've found that obviously as I've like started to navigate industry more, been in certain rooms, even in conversations like CEOs, like shareholders, board members, they respond way better to me when I'm unapologetically me. I think, I mean, this is a kind of tangent as well. It's something that I notice a lot when I'm at like PR events or influencer events, right? I'm usually the person in the room who's the most himself. I hope you can't hear my stomach grumbling, but yeah, I'm usually the first person to break the ice or to like kind of disarm people, because I come in, I see everybody like kind of like anxious, apprehensive, they don't know how to act, and then I'm just like, I'm like, how's your day been? Like, because mine's been shit. Like, I can't lie. Like, I'm not in anyone's mood today. Like, I'm like, listen, I'm here for my photos. I'm here to get drunk, and then I'm out. And then once I like do that little bit or whatever, I literally see people's shoulders drop. They're just like, oh, like I can just be myself. And I'm like, yeah, like it really breaks my heart sometimes, because I tend to see. I think I'm the opposite to you in the sense that like I'm very, very sensitive to people masking. I like. When I see people, I can tell who in the room has autism. I can tell who in the room has ADHD. I'm just like, it kind of pains me to watch everyone like be like so constipated in a space where it's like, oh, I just wish that you knew that you could just be yourself. So I feel like when I'm in certain spaces, I find my inner child like desperate to just like shake people's hand and be like, oh my god, let's play, which is probably why people like me.
Because you know what, when you're yourself, you give permission to other people to be themselves.
Exactly.
It takes. Because they're not in front of you thinking about the expectation that you have of the version of them that they have to show. Yeah. Now it's just like, okay, no, it's cool. I can be myself. And that in and of itself takes so much pressure off. You leave the event and you don't even feel as tired as you would necessarily if you have to do all of that. But I do recognize why, people might feel that they need to do that. And also the security and safety that it can provide, because it's a cold world out there, and being yourself does make you very vulnerable, and it can hurt a lot, especially if you feel shut down or you're not received in the way that you might like to in terms of being embraced. Like, it can be It can be difficult. But I wanted to kind of tap into what you was talking about with this exposure therapy. Like, what does that mean to you?
So exposure therapy to me is obviously exposing myself to anything that makes me uncomfortable, but doing it with intention. It's not just, oh, I have a fear of spiders, so I'm going to go and pick up a spider. It's, I have a fear of spiders, so I'm going to first unpack why I might be afraid of spiders, what biases I've picked up, like, growing up, what media I've consumed, which has reinforced that bias, doing some research on my like threshold. I'm arachnophobic. I'm not afraid of all spiders. I love tarantulas down. Like, if a tarantula was in this room right now, I would pick it up, put it on my shoulder. But
you would, my man over there would have to carry me over his shoulder. Like, I would be in complete princess mode. I'm like, get me out of here.
But yeah, so it's like, okay, so then I have to ask myself the question, why do you like tarantulas and why are you afraid of other spiders?
Right.
Because tarantulas are the spiders that look the most like mammals. They're thick, they're meaty, they're hairy.
Right.
They look like mammals. They have mammalian features. So now that I've interrogated that, figured out why there's a distinguishing like kind of like difference between them, I'm like, okay, cool. What can I do about it? So what is the safest point on my kind of like spectrum of arachnophobia that I can attempt now? What is the closest spider to a tarantula? I don't know. I'll go find out. Once I found that out, where can I have access to one in London? Are there any spider handlers in London? Cool. Okay, now go to a spider handler. Maybe play with a tarantula whilst you look at other spiders that you're actually afraid of. Maybe let the spider handler like tell you stuff about the spiders that you're afraid of whilst you play with the tarantula, whilst you look at these other spiders. Now that you're in play mode, now that you're a bit disarmed, now that you know more about these spiders and how low of a risk they are to you, try and put one in your hand, just a palm, just doing stuff like that, because a lot of people think that throwing themselves into the deep end, throwing themselves into sobriety, throwing themselves into serious relationships, being vulnerable, confronting their family, it's kind of redundant if you don't really understand why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't really, really get to the crux of like, what does this mean for me? And am I going to be okay if this doesn't work out? Because I could go to a spider handler and it make me worse. But at least I would understand why I'm so afraid.
This like really ties in with literally the conversation I just had with Ice. We'll talk. The whole episode was about healing.
Oh.
And then the feeding into like knowing yourself as being like the entry point, the gateway for all of that, to create that meaning and understanding, then to kind of create value in your life and stuff. And like, it's interesting that you should talk about spiders, because that's one of my biggest fears. Like, I see creepy crawlies and all that. Oh, I can't. Like, let me tell you, it just spins me. Like, I can do. You could put me on a 120-foot building and tell me, all right, cool, you got to stand on the balcony. I'm good.
You'll do that before you do a spider.
There's no question of a doubt. I'm like, send me up there now. Send me. But anyhow, there's a spider up there. Oh my God, I'm finished.
Are you hearing how mad that sounds?
I know. And the thing is, it's like, that's why I think it's so interesting that you use that example, because it's like, I've never really stopped to, let's unpack this. Like, why
this is why I use the spider example, because I think that arachnophobia is one of the most interesting things about the human species, hands down, because it's like one of the most like absurd and redundant fears. But you can use it as an example, because it's like, maybe like a couple thousand years ago, there was a reason for us to be afraid of spiders because certain species might have been toxic to us, whatever.
Right.
But obviously now that we've pretty much bred a lot of those species out, or like they've naturally, like natural selection, all them things, they're a local man in the UK meeting in London. I'm not gonna come across a black widow. I'm just not. That's not a thing that's gonna happen. Like,
right.
So what business do I have being afraid? Why am I afraid of moths? I mean, I'm not afraid of moths anymore. But
do you know what? It's funny. Like, let's break this down. This Firstly, I don't like how they look. I don't like how they look.
Yeah, they don't look right.
You see, like, there's just, it feels, I know they haven't, but it feels like for me when I see them that they got legs growing out of their head. Right? You know when a child draws a spider and it's a circle and then there's legs all coming around?
Oh, I hate that shit.
That right there. And then I don't like the way that they move so quick. Like,
That's the thing. They look like they're slow.
Fam, they don't give me a chance. I was like, by the time I've seen you now and I'm panicking, you're just there all about the place. And then, listen, so I don't like that. I don't like the fact that they can do ground, they can do ceiling, they can do wall. Then they've got a web in there. So I'm like, you are just fucking all over the place. Like,
they can't even bite. Like,
yeah, you can't contain them. You can't control those motherfuckers. Like a moth basically can crawl or fly. Spiders, like it's like Spider-Man, innit?
No,
like
they do too much.
Nah, it's like come on now. And then there's no consistency because they could be small, they could be big. There's just so many fucking L's. You don't know what you're getting with them. So like, now I'm starting to unpack it. I really don't really fuck with them. And do you know what? God tried to have bants last year, yeah? It was either this year, it was the beginning of, it was this year because the coat I'm wearing I got this year. Jesus Christ. Why is it that twice? Because I've never had spiders on me in my whole life. Why did I have two big old spiders? I was in my house and my partner was like, baby, don't move, don't move, don't move. She's like, and started licking me up. When I saw the big old fucking elephant that pulled off, my spirit nearly left the building. I swear to God, I said, I'm so... And the thing is now, it's in the yard. Not only was it on me, but it's in the yard. And then, listen, I couldn't relax for the whole evening. I was fucked up. So it's like, this is probably a conversation for me and my therapist to kind of unpack the deeper meaning of that. But it's again, do you know what it could boil down to? Control.
No,
like I said, because I can't control them because they're all over the fucking place. Then they've got the audacity to be. One even climbed on my face flannel. I said my flannel, my face rag out. I said, and you came from outside. Audacity. That's probably what it is. And my therapist says I'm a control freak.
Yeah,
I like to. You can't control spiders.
Yeah.
But I suppose you can control heights because once you're up there, you're up there. That's not going to change unless you leave that space. Anyway, well, of peace. So, like, exposure there was exposure therapy. But I think there is something to be said that, like, sometimes something in life can happen that will jolt us into a reaction of, I need to address this.
Yeah.
But that's not what you're talking about. Actually, it's about self-inquiry, then the external inquiry, then exposure with the appropriate guardrails in accordance to what your journey of healing needs to look like. Because sometimes we can throw ourselves into these deep ends and then it really not work out, and then you just kind of like re-traumatize yourself. And it's like, no, but I think that, you know, how you've just broken down kind of really explains some of those practical steps that people can begin to explore that helps you kind of ascertain that understanding. And this takes me on to like something that you mentioned earlier about self-perception. So, you know, we were talking about pictures, right? So it's like, just to kind of bridge the gap, understanding what makes you feel comfortable and what makes you feel uncomfortable. And there's the external stuff, so spiders, the fear of heights, whatever. But sometimes, like, how comfortable are we within ourselves? And is some of that discomfort and that dis-ease then manifesting into other things, right? So, like, things that make me feel uncomfortable within myself, like, if there's too much going on. You see, if there's, say now there was like 15 people in this room, it's overstimulus for me. And then you see if there's 15 different conversations going on, and then there's music playing, and then there's flashing lights. That is a lot for me. Yeah. You probably find me outside there chilling with someone on a one-to-one, maybe with a drink or something. So like, I know that environments that are very chaotic, or it feels like there's no structure here, kind of throws me off. Cameras used to make me feel very uncomfortable, and I think to a certain extent, because I'm talking to you, I'm not cognizant of them. I'm not aware. But you see, if it's time to sit down and do photos and stuff, bruh, I look like a scarecrow.
That one's long.
I don't even know what to do with my body. So like, I'm still really learning about what makes me feel uncomfortable. But what are some of the things that make you feel uncomfortable, and how do you kind of navigate that?
What makes me feel uncomfortable? Love. I spoke about this in a poem that I performed recently, but I'm basically just this year I've really come to terms with the fact that, like, I can rationalize my self-worth. I know I'm lovable. I know I can say I know this and I know that, and I know it because it's fact, right? But I don't always feel it. So I'm coming to terms with the fact that, like, I might not always feel like I'm worthy of the love that I see on TV. And I know reasons that is. For example, I'm black and queer, or dark skin and queer. Like, I can't avoid that. Like, I have not grown up seeing examples of black queer love. My dad left when I was 7. I can think of a myriad of things. Like, I can think of so many rejections throughout life. I can think of times when I've believed it, and then life has just started pamming me, and it's just like, you need to humble yourself. So I'm like, okay, yeah, that's something that makes sense to me. I can say, yeah, I'm afraid of love. Like right now, I've started putting myself out there in terms of dating and stuff like that, and it is so triggering. Dating is more triggering than loneliness for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and why do you think that is?
One, because I didn't plan this. This always happens to me. I think it might be a curse, but it's every time I'm gonna leave a dating app, I give myself 10 swipes, right? So 10 swipes. If you swipe yes on someone, then you get another 10 swipes.
Mm-hmm.
But you just keep swiping until you've had 10 no's in a row. Right. And so I always do this before I delete an app, because I don't know, it's just a fun game. I'm like, it's like playing with fate, whatnot. Every time I say I'm leaving an app and I do this game, I end up meeting someone, and it's always on the last swipe. I'm like,
that's freaky.
I know. I think I low-key do it because I think subconsciously I'm like, okay, do you know what? You're ready to date. Mm-hmm. So let's see if God will allow it. But yeah, I recently played that game. I don't know if I'm saying too much. I actually really don't care. Yeah, I recently played this game and I was just like, do you know what? I'm done with dating. It's about to be a cold winter. Like, let me just accept it. Let me get an electric blanket. And then the 10th person was a guy that I'd met at a housewarming party.
And so you've already met before?
Yeah,
so
we
face.
met at the start of the year. Like, just a one-time meet, and like, he's not from London. And me being me, I was like, oh, you're not from London. Like, I will be your tour guide. Whatever. And I was like, I didn't really think much of it. And then I saw him on this app, and I was like, okay, cool. Well, might as well talk to this person, be intentional about it. Yeah.
So I think we've kind of like segued into dating quite naturally.
So I wish this was wine.
Because I've been in my relationship. Do you know, it feels like so much longer. So I've known the person 2.5 years, but because they were in another country. Well, we met when they were here. Okay. Then Sod's Law, the week after we linked, they're leaving and going to the Caribbean indefinitely. And I'm telling you, I was looking at this woman in her eyes with the sun bouncing off of her skin, and I was like, this is the one. Why? I was like, why is my person leaving? I was like, you know how many dates I've been, and I didn't like them, but the one that I really like has to be. So I was. That would
actually kill me.
I was fuming.
You know when you actually feel like life is doing you like why me? Why me?
I said, God, you really have sense of humour, you know. I said, no, I said, like, funny, innit? Yeah. I said, this is karma for all the fuckery that I was doing when I was younger. All those hearts that I broke and the disrespect. This is it. So, anyway, I took a different approach, because the old me would have been like, oh, well, let's just fuck before you leave and then end it there. But I was like, are you planning to come back to the UK? Yeah. They just don't know when. So I said, so let's entertain. Let's get to know each other. Let's have a conversation, because firstly, too much information. I was my time of the month, so I couldn't be having no sex anyway, right? Real. Before they was going. So I'm like, this could afford us an opportunity that we don't really get to have, whereby it's just an emotional connection, and we can explore, like, through conversation, through distance, like, do we actually get along? Yeah. And really get to understand the fibers of how this person works without any physical touch, because I believe that touch changes everything. Some people say, sex isn't. I'm like, energies and frequency and vibrations and stuff. Someone could just touch you on your shoulder and it can do some things, you know. So we did that. We did long distance dating for like 4 months. Yeah, 4 months.
Do you know, that's not that bad, because that's a London talking stage anyways.
Do you know, but I never knew they was coming back at 4 months. Yeah. That's what it was indefinitely, but they came back at that stage. And I was like, when they said that when they were coming back, I was like, oh my God, they're coming back. Shit, okay, cool. And I was really, really gassed. But then when I said that I'm not going to commit to being in a relationship until you're back. Yeah. Because once you're back, listen, I'm going to be so intentional and let you know that I'm not even into this dating thing. I want a relationship with you, so you know that I'm serious. And we're here, and we're solid. But the reason why I say that is because I took a completely different approach to dating. And even when, like, we were in the talking phases before we even linked, I was like, okay, this is what I'm looking for. this is how I want to feel, this is what I want from the future. Was before I used to play it too cool for school. I'm like, oh yeah, it doesn't really matter, I'm just here casual, see where things go. I'm like, no, I want a wife, I want children, I want all of the things. I want a soft life. Do you know where I'm coming from? And it gave her the space to either say, yeah, I want that, or I don't. And when she said she did, I was like, like when you're a child, like hugging your notebook.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. And I was like, and she's fine.
Oh,
and she's fine.
You need to show me after.
Yeah, and I was like, and she's
love
fine. And she's
that
like,
for you.
and she's into fitness. Like me.
Oh.
I was like, and she likes anime and gaming. And I don't like any of those things, but I think they're fucking cool.
Yeah.
Do you know? And I was just like, oh my God. Like, and what I loved is that with anime and gaming, that's your thing.
Yeah.
You've got your thing that you're into. Like, I'm into my HR. I'm into my podcast. Like, we've got our things. And we can train together. And make couples content.
I need to be married now.
This is what I'm saying. And we're both,
get me out of the street.
And we're both Caribbean. And the part of Jamaica her people are from the same part of the island as me. And I was like, yes. My granddad would be so happy right now.
Oh my days.
So like,
you really locked out, I can't lie.
You tell him, Brethren, let me tell you something. I've kissed the dinosaurs, the frogs, the lizards. Like, it has been a fucking intense ride. But again, just kind of bring it back. Like, it is about that intentionalness and being really vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because I put my fucking feelings on the line. I was like, she could have fucking broke me down early doors, but if I hadn't had done that and I did the whole bravado on the fuckery, I may not have given her the opportunity to really show me who she was and to meet me where I was at. You know, that was like my little love scenario. But I
might learn from you, because I think what I'm struggling right now is the balance. It's like, I don't know how. Obviously, I don't want to be stush. I don't want to have that bravado. I don't want to pretend to not care. But I think I'm still scared to show people how much I really care. Yeah. Because sometimes it feels crazy. It's like early dating stages. It's like I'm somewhere where it's like I know if you're for me. Like, I know if you're somebody who could be for me. Like, very, very soon. It takes a while for me to start feeling those feelings. But then I'm like, when I know, innit? Yeah. And I think the way I date now, it's like by the time that we've even gone on the first date, I'm like, okay, this is somebody that you're gonna have multiple dates with. Like, if it's left down to me, you're gonna have multiple dates. So by the time we're on, like, I don't know, like date 10, it's like I'm already like, okay, cool. Well, I like this person. I know I want to keep doing this. Don't really know what that means, and I feel scared to express that, because it can sound like a lot sometimes. It can sound like a lot to say to someone like, oh hey, like, I'm intentional enough to know that I like you and I want to be with you. Like, that sounds crazy to some people. Yeah. And also that scares other people as well, because it makes them have to confront their own issues with avoidance and whatnot.
Yeah, you're right. But do you know what the reality of it is that if let's just say that was their scenario and it scared them, that's just not your person. That's just it.
Then I'll fall and die. I can't do it. I'm sorry. No. Guys, I'm sorry. I've got like 3 more talking stages left in me. Like, I'm done.
Bro, you'll be on day 87 and you're still linking like, no.
I'm not being funny. Like, and the thing is, like, being candid, like, I'm not a whore. Like, I used to be a whore. I'm not a whore. Like,
me too, I'm a reform whore.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a reform. I have a surprisingly low body count. Not that I believe in body counts. I don't give a fuck about that shit. But it's like, I think people who like know me or follow me on social media, especially Twitter, where I talk about sex a lot, they would be very surprised by like how little I give a fuck about sex. Like, I think I've been celibate for total 3 years in total in 2 different blocks. It's only in the last year that I've started being sexually active again, and even still, I don't really care to leave my house just to have sex. Like, I really don't care for it. I'm like, facts. To get on public transport, to spend my money on an Uber, it's not giving that.
It's like, not that deep.
It's not, especially like, even if let's say someone else pays for an Uber, 45 minutes I get to the yard. That's 45 minutes I could have used to get myself off and then made food, gone to bed. So I don't really know what we're doing here. Like, if it's just
I'm there to jerk off and ramen.
Like, I'm sorry, like I'm not in this thing of like linking just to beat, because I'm like, let's link to hang out and beat at least. Let's link to go grab food and beat. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm a dater. I'm a lover. I'm a yearner. Like, I can't do this anymore.
Just on that, you know what? Even when I was younger, I used to use sex as a validation, because it's like, that person likes me, and also there was an element of a bit of like, as a young mass, I'm getting my stripes. Do you know what I'm saying? I chopped that. Yeah, and she was a wildie as well. Like, she was fine. Like, you're kind of getting your stripes, but when that part of me kind of fizzled out, I was celibate for a long time. I've had really long periods of time of being celibate. Well, long for me is probably maximum of like 2 years. Yeah. And anything from like 6 months up and I think it's important, you know. Celibacy is important.
I agree. I think everybody should practice it at least once, even if you're in a relationship. What does our relationship look like if we remove sex for 4 months?
And can you connect? What does intimacy look like? Do you understand one? Because I think sometimes, like, with sex, other people's energy will come and interrupt your energy flow. So it's like, imagine now you plug, like, you're a plug and you plug into the wall, yeah? But then having sex means that you're now plugging into what that thing called over there? The extension plug, right? The current is a different flow now because it's going from the wall into the extension plug into you. And just to use that as an analogy, I think sex and touch can really alter your state of being. It can alter how you see yourself, how you feel. Because if you're dating someone that's going through some shit, believe me, you're picking up on that frequency. That energy, that vibration is traveling through you. And you know, when they talk about being like yoked and bonding and all of that stuff, I believe in that stuff. And I think just to sometimes cleanse, have a whole cleanse, get to know yourself, understand, reconnect with what your actual natural energy looks like without the interference of anything else. I'm a big advocate, but it's not always easy.
No, real, because I've been casually dating like the last, I want to say 2 months. Nobody that I've been dating, I've had sex with them, because I'm like, okay, so I haven't told you about my traumas. I haven't told you about literally just the fact that, like, dating is triggering for me. Just the fact that, like, I have a lot of anxieties around dating, vulnerability. I haven't told you about my sexual avoidance and whatnot. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, it just doesn't. It just doesn't. Like, you're not a hookup. If it was a hookup, I'm like, cool. But it's like, if you're somebody that I'm seeing, why don't we wait to the part where I feel like you know me a bit better?
You have better sex.
Not saying that I'm telling that anybody that they should hold off on sex. I'm saying that right now that's what I'm doing and it's working.
Yeah.
But it's not going to work for much longer. I have needs. I have needs.
Do you know, I feel like, for me anyway, the type of person I am and the way that I connect, it's through emotion. Like, you could be fine all you like. But do you know how many sexy dickheads there are out there? Yeah. Sexy headaches. Yeah. I'm not in it. I'm an energy and an emotion that, you see, if you make me feel some type of way in myself, I'm like, now you've got me interested, because I'm like, okay. And I'm very attracted to intelligence.
Oh, same.
You see, if you're intelligent, or you see if you've got a hobby and you're into something, oh my God, that is so attractive to me. But that then requires me to get to know you. We have to spend time there. We have to build that rapport. So that immediate attraction, I think, it can, but I would have to be high or drunk for you to catch me in that moment. Yeah. Do you understand? And I'm not operating in that frequency, not to judge anyone that is. So then what does desire and attraction have to look like outside of those kind of more immediate things? And it is that more interpersonal thing, and I have to feel comfortable. And I think the more comfortable you are with a person, the better sex that you have.
Oh, 100%.
I can't be at my best self having sex with a stranger because I'm not comfortable, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not. Do you know how many things I'm thinking about? I'm bare uptight. I can't even lie.
Does this go here? Like, what am I doing with my hands?
I don't know your body. I don't even. Imagine if I don't even know your last name, fam.
I've been there.
I think
even first name. I can't lie. I've been there.
You're outside. Girl, you're outside.
Grinder, innit?
I don't even know what the app looks like. Are there girls on there?
There's trans girls.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, so is it mainly like a male-dominated app?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
the
fair.
app was made for men, but then they opened it up to trans women as well.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Good for them, but also there's so many risks involved. Anyways, that's besides the point. But I feel like I'm like you because, I mean, if you follow me on Twitter, you already know this. Most of my sexuality revolves around my friends. Not necessarily like, I'm not saying that I'm out here fucking my best friends, but I'm saying as in like people who I have acquired that level of comfort with, where it's like, if I was drunk throwing up, I would trust you to, like, I don't know, wipe the shit from my ass. Not that you would have to, but as in like,
I understand, yeah.
So it's like, when I think of the people that I would, especially being sexually avoidant, in my ideal world, there are certain friends that I have now where I'm just like, I wish we could just have sex just so that I've broken the ice and so that it's allowed me to feel comfortable having sex with other people again.
Oh, that's an interesting way of looking at it. Okay.
Especially because I feel like most of my sexual history was before I had fully accepted that I was autistic. And so I was always masking. I don't know what it's like to have sex without masking. And that's really sad to me. But I mean, there's probably 1 or 2 times. But yeah, it's like I don't know what it's like to have sex as me. I'm a completely different person now. Like, I've broken my celibacy in other ways, but I haven't had like full blown penetrative sex. Have I? That's a lie. I haven't. But without
that was a whole Maury moment.
Yeah, but without narcotics or drugs or alcohol being involved, like
sober.
Yeah,
like it's just two
just
humans
raw
in a room.
Humanity, like
do you know it's frightening?
Daylight.
Do you know how many people can't have sex sober?
Most people.
Yeah, it's fucking frightening, bro. Like, listen, your ass is exposed. Excuse the pun, but like, it literally is like it is a very intense, real, sobering moment where you have to sit in your insecurities, all of the shit that you may have complexes about or might not feel comfortable. You've got us, and now you're in front of someone. Yeah, and then on top of that, you've got to perform. Yeah, hey, it's
pure like. Pardon pun, but it's like pure nudity. Like, like you are naked in that moment. Like,
do you know what? Just on that, I feel like there should be stages. So like, I think you should develop intimacy before sex. Yeah. So even being able to lay naked with someone and cuddle.
Yeah, that's like, my dream. Oh.
Like that for me, that should be part of the pathway to get there. But like, there's so many steps that I think sometimes are missing. But also, before I even forget, you were talking about masking, and I think that the majority of us are masking and doing things in a way that we think need to be done. So me and Sadie Sinner had a conversation about that with mass presenting people. A lot of us are in service, so we're doing the deed. But do we feel how do we receive love and intimacy and sexual pleasure and openness without feeling like a bitch? Because bro, like I don't want to be taught skin out. Looking, no, you fucking great. No, like
leg in the air,
you got me looking crazy. But what does that freedom and liberation look like within the realms of being a masculine person or female or whatnot? But go on.
Forgive me for overstepping. And listen, mass babes, please don't fight me. I love you all down. I think that a lot of mask presenting women forget that like being masculine or like being masculine doesn't mean being masculine all the time.
Yes.
For example, obviously the stereotypical model of like masculinity is men, especially in the context of like black people. We've been socialized to think that dark-skinned men are the most masculine type of person, which obviously is colorist and wrong. But I'm like the most masculine or the most like comfortable boys I know, or boys who are the most comfortable in the masculinity. It's like, yes, they might be like very masculine and dominant 80% of the time, but then they are also so comfortable in themselves that when they're around friends or like when they're having a silly moment, they might like let out like a high-pitched giggle or like they might act girly because they're so comfortable in their masculinity. But I feel like when people are trying to emulate masculinity, they leave out the freedom. It's uptight.
You have not overstepped at all. I think you've just trod the line of truth. Like it's, for one, toxic masculinity. We learn what masculinity is through the lens of quote unquote patriarchy, and sometimes I feel like even that word, it's lost power, in terms of what it can mean. But we see it on TV, and when you think of like you said, black men, how that shows up, and then it's like how to get gal, so you need to do this and this, and you, before you know, you've developed this whole stupid playbook of stuff that doesn't actually give you space to be yourself, because you're playing this role ultimately. I think understanding that masculinity doesn't mean bench press, bicep curl, strap-ons, shave, fade. It don't mean none of that shit. Like, masculinity can mean, it can be soft. It can be tender. It can be kind. It can be saying to your friend, like my friend Ice called the other day, I was like, I love you, bro. I fucking love you. I actually love you to bits. That's masculinity too. It's allowing someone to stroke your head. Do you know where I'm coming from? It could be allowing yourself to have a nice bubble bath with something called romance. And it doesn't always have to be so fucking abrasive. And action. You know, it can be very soft, but there's a lot of us that are scared to be vulnerable, because if you're soft, sometimes you're weak.
Yeah.
Because there will always be a masked person that's more solid than you. So then does that create risk? So if you think about man them on road, the moment you start showing any vulnerability now, that means that someone could come and maybe take your girl. That means that maybe you're acting too feminine, so your girl don't like that. Maybe does it challenge your perception of being a man? Now you're acting like a bitch. There's all of this shit that it doesn't even matter.
That's what I'm...
It doesn't. And to go back, there's a podcast called the No Homo Podcast. Yeah, shout out to them, man. They're over in the States. I quite like their content.
I'm pretty sure I've listened to an episode.
Yeah, and I reposted something a couple days ago, and they were talking about the idea of masculine and feminine within lesbian relationships, and it was to mask so they could go out in public, but what's the word I'm looking for? You're portrayed, the people think that you're straight. So you're not seen as a gay couple, so you're not getting arrested and all of this shit. But now it's become, there's a whole social nature to it in terms of fashion, clothing. You wanted to be that guy, you need to submit it. That, all of this shit, it was never actually about that. It was just a way to get through in life. And in some ways just express some of your normal flair. But we've gone so far that you've got mass presenting people that are behaving like fucking Fresh and Fit and fucking Andrew Tate. And they're talking about bitches ain't no good. I said, hold on a minute now. Hold on a fucking minute now. Are you not a gal too? Get the fuck out of here with that stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
you know, but I think you're onto something. But then and when you translate that to sex now, a lot of them are not enjoying themselves. That's why they're uptight. 6 years worth of not coming, bro. That'll make anyone stressed.
Yeah, I even see it play out in like in like queer men as well, because it's just like, obviously I don't know if you're privy to this, but there's this new word side. So it's like, obviously, like on an app like Grindr, you might put like your sexual position, like am I a top, am I a bottom, am I a verse top, which means like you're a top who like might switch it up a little bit. Okay. If you're pure verse, which means like you want to give and receive like most of the time, like always. Verse bottom, etc. Okay. So side now is kind of like people who are decentering penetrative sex, right? People who are understanding that like oral sex is sex, mutual masturbation is sex, because if it's not, then how the fuck do lesbians have sex? Like,
facts.
Like,
facts.
without.
No, I hear it though.
Yeah, it's like, but like all sex
wrong.
is sex, so it doesn't need, like, you don't need to be putting dick in hole for it to feel like for it to be valid or whatnot. So it's like, okay, now let's figure out what we actually want to do. It's like, a lot of the time, having sex is so inconvenient for bottoms, and honestly, like, big up my bottoms for the amount of effort that you put in. But even like a lot of
I feel like a little kid giggling.
But no, even I've seen, because I wouldn't describe myself as top or bottom. Like, honestly, don't really care. But I'm even seeing like a lot of tops being like, oh yeah, I have this as well. I have so much performance anxiety when I'm topping. I get so in my head. I'm constantly wondering like if my stroke game is all right, if this is right, if like it makes me overthink, like, and it's exhausting as well, because it is a physical activity. It's like, without being crude, it's like strokes are exhausting. It's exercise.
Hold the plank.
It's
hold that. How many people can hold plank position or even do press up position? Or
somebody who hasn't even run the bleep test in 10 years is now expected to do.
How long can you squat?
Acrobatics. I can squat for a while.
No, but in general, like, listen, there's a lot of leg action and
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's actually
physical.
Exhausting. Like, it's very, very exhausting. Like, this is why sex burns a lot of calories. So I'm like, okay, if we're accepting that sex is like a physically strenuous and inconvenient and a lot of the time uncomfortable experience for everybody, then what do we need to change? How we have sex. Right. And we need to decenter. I'm sorry, I feel like a politician now. But it's like, okay, for me personally, my ideal sex life would be like, okay, like, or mutual masturbation often, oral often, like low effort stuff, like naked cuddles, like edging, even decentering, orgasming. Where it's like, not every time we do stuff, the goal needs to be orgasming. The goal needs to be intimacy and enjoyment.
Interesting.
I've had sex and like had fun without coming.
I can say that I've not had that.
Real, but my fun is like the giggling when we switch positions, or like the conversations we're having during sex, getting to admire each other's bodies, like the pleasure that you feel when you're being touched, and
you're enjoying the process.
Yeah, it's like enjoying the process.
Because sometimes you are very much focused on the end goal, whether it be
like, I'm trying to make this person come.
Yeah. That, because you spoke about all the different types of exhaustion. It is mentally exhausted.
That's what
if you've got that on your mind, for real. I hear that.
So literally, if every part of it's exhausting, so my ideal sex life would be like, like we can have penetrative sex, like however often we decide to, but it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be the goal.
The main show.
If there's a month where neither of us is up to scratch, we just pick up in other ways. We can still make each other nut without putting dick in a bum. Like.
Do you know what though? It makes sex more accessible.
Yeah.
Especially people that have got they work long
9
days
to 5s,
and stuff
kids.
That's fair enough.
Warehouse shifts. Like, I do not want to stand on my feet at a warehouse for 10 hours and then come and have to. I'm not doing it. Fuck you.
We're doing gymnastics and whatnot. Yeah, I'm not. But I think that often puts a lot of people off when you hear that. Oh yeah, I've got a headache. Oh, I'm really tired. I've had a long day. People finding excuses to try and opt out because there feels like there's a pressure or an expectation, and I think that actually can kill your sex life as well.
It's so unhealthy.
I personally think, in your relationship, whether it's you're seeing someone, you're dating someone, or you're in a committed relationship, in my opinion, for me, I think it's really about getting to know that person on a very deep basis, like how they think, how they feel, how they relate to things, how they respond, how they trigger. A lot of it is not to do with physical, it's a lot to do with the brain. The brain, the spirit and the soul. Like your body for me is very much just a vessel that carries your soul and your spirit, right? We didn't have any say about the bodies that we were given. No one had a say. It's just a container, right, for the jollof. As far as I'm right? But so with that being said, it's like there's such an emphasis on physical, but are we placing equal or more value on the internal things? So it's like someone might say, oh, I know how to break their back, I know how their body ticks in the bedroom. But
Good for you.
But I'm like, but do you know their social triggers? Do you know why they have social anxiety? Do you know how you can support them as their partner to reduce that anxiety? All these little things. And I'm so intrigued by the way that an individual, how like the mind works, that I understand, like in a dating scenario, like you said, it can be really scary and it can scare people off. But I think if we're not able to have those kind of intimate conversations and expose who we truly are as a people, then I'm not necessarily convinced that we're even ready for a relationship or even ready to be having sex, because you can show your nyash, but you can't talk about your deep fears. Do you know where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
How is it like, I'm sure I've slept with people that don't even know I've got arachnophobia. That's mad to me. And if you get, imagine now we're in the bedroom, then I see a spider on the ceiling. I'm
start
finished.
Freaking out and they look at you like you're mad.
That we need to call 111.
Yeah.
Or we need to call your mum. We need some assistance. So I think that there is this kind of deeper thing. But I want to get into like tips, dating tips.
Yeah.
So like for you, what's some of your dating etiquette? What is your approach to dating? And what are your non-negotiables?
Yeah. Well, I am a big user of the apps. Love Hinge down. Like, people love to shit on Hinge. Love it. Hinge has never failed me. The only time Hinge has failed me is when I failed myself, right? And that's because I haven't gone in with intention. So before I open the app, I should know what kinds of people do I want for what purposes. Because most of the time, most of us aren't just looking for one thing. It's like I might see certain people and be like, oh yeah, this person's leng, like I want to fuck them. Let me swipe right, But I probably wouldn't date them. I can already tell from their profile that this is not somebody that I would date, whatnot. Okay, well, know that, because that will change how you approach them. It might change what kind of conversations you have. There might be a bigger sense of urgency. If this is somebody that I want to be sexually intimate with, I might want to make that known sooner rather than doing obviously politeness is key, but like I'm not going to do the same conversations about like, what's your favourite movie and like, I don't know, like, what's your dream?
Trying to serenade them out their boxes. Yeah, like, there's no need.
Because then I'm selling you a dream. I'm wasting my time. But then there might be somebody that I see on Hinge where I'm like, this person, I really like their style. They look like my type. The height, I can see that. I mean, you don't drink. You might see that someone doesn't. Obviously, you're in a relationship now, but you might see that someone doesn't drink on their profile. Okay, this is somebody that I have common ground with. I know that like we could at the very least go out to eat together without me feeling the social pressure to drink.
Right.
So that is a safe activity for us to do. Let me start a conversation. Oh, like, I see you don't drink as well. Like me either. Like I'm however many years sober. Like like what about you? Cool. It's a completely different. You need to know what you want from people. And also kind of know that when it comes to dating, I always say this, it's like, I know a lot. I think I'm someone who knows a lot more than a lot of people. Yeah. And I do have that arrogance because it's a fact. But I also operate in the assumption that like, I don't know anything at all.
Right.
So when I'm dating, I don't know anything. I don't know anything about myself because how we date changes from year to year, from person to person. I dated last year, not the same as me dating this year at all. I'm like, okay, cool. So I know nothing about myself, so I need to pay attention. So how are certain things making me feel? What am I desiring from people? What are my hesitations? Because I think what you hesitate to say or what you hesitate to do says a lot more about you, how you're feeling, than like a lot of other things. When I've been dating recently, I found myself hesitating to kiss someone, like someone that I really wanted to kiss, hesitating to put my arm around their shoulder, hesitating to like make the first move. If you see me in any other social setting, I've never been afraid to kiss someone. In fact, I love being the person to initiate it. So I was like, okay, cool. Why are you hesitating then?
What's going on?
Yeah, okay. So you think that this is somebody you might really like eventually. You're scared because this is real. Like, you're scared because making that first move is setting yourself down a long path of potential insecurity, of vulnerability and whatnot. So you're thinking that maybe if you're avoidant, maybe this person will assume that you don't like them, or maybe this person will be more cold towards you. And as soon as someone acts cold towards you, you know that your avoidant instinct is going to make you run and you're going to self-sabotage. I'm like, okay, so where do we go from here? So I found myself physically unable to make the first move. So I said it. I was like, oh, just to let you know, like, I'm really attracted to you. Like, I'm high as fuck right now. I've been thinking about how to make a move on you for the last hour and a half. Just letting you know. And then he was just like, oh, like I could tell. And then I just relaxed, and then he kissed me and it was fine. And like, so I think hesitations.
That right there is important, because I tell you something. I when I was like, no, do you know what? I was about to say when I was younger, lies. Like I've definitely created scenarios where I'm sure women have thought that I'm not into them because I haven't made that move, but I just couldn't find the angle because I don't want to come across rapey.
Yeah.
Do you know where I'm coming from, or come across hungry? But then
is a big one.
It's not cute. And then sometimes also when you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable, whatever it is, but you come across creepy or you're coming across off, and it's better to make no move than the wrong move kind of thing. And I think even if I had that vocabulary at that time to say, okay, this is what's going on for me. This is what I would like in this scenario. It really allows someone to meet you where you're at and just affording them that. But sometimes when you hold your card so close to your chest that it creates this whole scenario where I'm sure there's quite a few women that have been like, yeah, I don't think Meg was really into me.
Yeah, like,
in actual fact,
closed off, but whole time you're there thinking like, am I doing this? Like, how do I do that?
I'm doing the most inside, but on the outside I'm cool as a cucumber. It's like, it's full of shit. I was full of shit, mate. Yeah. But I think there is something beautiful in, like you said, just being, if you can tap into all of those little intricacies of what am I feeling, knowing that it's all nuanced, it's all different. So like, I think with the app situation, it can create a scenario where it feels very plug and play because you're interacting with each individual on the app in the same way, but actually being cognizant of the fact that actually the way that you might respond to this person is different, and giving yourself that chance and not feeling like, oh, I have to show up as this in order to have this outcome. No, like there's many ways in which that can be achieved. So like, do you, like, long term, do you want to like have a family or get married, or where are you at with all of that?
If stuff? I cry. Oh, that's crazy. No, you know when you haven't heard yourself say something out loud before, it's like, yes, I want to fall in love. I want to have a stable relationship, eventually move into it together. I want to get married. I want to have kids. Yeah.
I love that for you.
Yeah.
And in God we trust.
I'm such a dad. Huh?
I said in God we trust. Like, I want to be a parent, but I don't know if I'll be a good parent. Do you know why? Because like, you see, when people get on my nerves too frequently, I'm just like, oh, allow me. Like, but I know that your love for your children. Your kids, But I know, like, with your children, there's a different kind of love and connection. But I'm worried that like my kids are gonna piss me off and I'll be sick and tired of them. I'm like, no, I need I need to be out of here. I need to be. I need to get out of here. This is fucking killing me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like a toxic relationship that you want to run, and I'm scared that I'm gonna run. I'm gonna want to run away from my own kids.
Yeah. No, same. Same.
Do you get?
I'm like, if my kids are bad vibes, I'm gonna want to run. Like it's just facts. Like, because I've come home from a long fucking day of shooting or whatnot, and you're just there looking at me with your stupid bug eyes, talking to me about, like I spilled paint all over the. Shut up, bruv. Like.
And you know, like, for example, you come home and it's something that you love is mash up.
No,
and it's like I'm like, look, like I have done a 12-hour day. And you're coming and mashing up my
things. I now have to cook.
Or when they get to 16 and they want to be trying to... I'm like, hold on, wait, excuse me, what? Like, I don't know if I've got the gumption to deal with that kind of test of... Like, it does scare me, but I know that the partner that I have will be a very good mum because they work with kids. They're very good with kids. I've got a good mum.
I think you'll surprise yourself as well.
Because the things I can really get into like a kid's world and come out of myself as an adult into like trying to see where they're at, but it's when they start carrying on with the fuckery because my fuckery barometer is my tolerance. You know, I'm like, listen, like after 5 years I'm sick and tired of you, kid, like you know. But Glow, we're at time, my friends. We've been all over the fucking
This
shop.
has been so fun. I feel so ready for my date now, I can't lie.
Do you know what? Good luck for you. So you haven't got to tell us the ins and outs, but what kind of date? Is it dinner date, drinks date, walking date?
We are going for food and drinks. And I'm going to get wasted today. Because this is someone that I've already met before. I'm just like, I'm not... Obviously, I'm trying to impress him, but I don't really care. And I'm going out later, so I'm like, this is pre-drinks for me.
This is the warm-up.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Probably going to go on a nice walk, because obviously this area is really nice. Well, it's not too far from here.
Okay.
Might go for a walk, see the city lights.
Oh, I love a good walk, you know, because sometimes like dinner's too intense for me. You see, when I don't know you and I'm sitting looking you in your face and it's just I like to do activities when I'm first getting to know each other because then I can have fun and we can be playful and all of that stuff. And then as I get more comfortable, then I can sit down and do the drinks and have them more one-on-one. But I find in the initial stages that it's quite intense. Actually, I went for me and my partner, our first date was the park.
I love that.
And you know, I got rinsed. I got told like, well, not by her, but someone told me that that's like a dead date. Like you can't do that. I was like, excuse me.
I love the park.
It is, especially if you find a nice park and it's got woodlands and it's got meadowy sides.
Because it means you can choose what you get to eat. You have free open space. Right. You get to sit like, you can cuddle if you want, and it's not socially unacceptable.
Right. Exactly.
If it's summer, you might do stuff outside. But,
what in the name of voyeurism or exhibition is going on right here?
Listen.
Do you know what as well? And like, it's at that time it was not a smoke-free zone. So like, you know, that it afforded me the freedom to navigate the space in a way that felt comfortable rather than having to adhere to the social etiquette of that particular space, you know. But yes, enjoy your day.
Thank you.
Definitely well, do you know what? I'm sure we will all have a keen interest. We'll be seeing, you know, when does Glow settle down? Who is this person?
Yeah. If you want to hear me talk about love, sex and dating more, check out the link in my Instagram bio for my podcast, Chirps Hats.
And plug all of your socials where the people them can find you.
Yeah, my Instagram and my TikTok are Glowiny, which is GLOWINY. That is Glow INY. My link tree is in my bio. All the shows that I've been on this year and last year and stuff are there. My podcast is there. Yeah, pretty much it. And
you know where to find me, Meg Talks online on Instagram. And there's a link in my bio to all of the different spots where you can find me. And as I was saying, we're going to be on YouTube, baby. I'm actually really scared because I take a lot of YouTube in. So like the idea that I'm going to be there now, that's going to be wild. You. Yes, it's wild. It's freaking me out. But anyway, I digress. Peeps, we're out. See you later.